today we have made an unprecedented decision. It's the first time we propose legislation to strengthen the rights and protect the journalists and human rights defenders. In other words, to protect those who dare to speak up from attempts to have their voices silenced by abusive lawsuits, known as slaps. And I have to say it's a great relief for myself because I gave a promise to the family of Daphne Galizia, the murdered Maltese journalist. I made that promise because the family, after Daphne was killed, still had more than 40 slaps, mainly in the United Kingdom, to deal with. And so we worked on this also in the name of Daphne, and I had a feeling that Daphne is working with us on that. So there is a special also moral imperative behind this. The use of abusive lawsuits is increasing in the EU. We started by collecting data which showed that this phenomenon of abuse of justice against the freedom of speech, in fact, is on the rise. And also our last two rule of law reports have highlighted concerns about this in several member states. Civil society has been active in mapping slap cases and shedding some light on the true magnitude of the phenomenon, although it is at the moment still difficult to know the exact figures. In case you want to ask me about that, I am just warning. A key feature of many slaps is the imbalance of power and financial resources between parties. Those bringing these lawsuits are wealthy and powerful. The targets usually not so. The fight is an unequal one. This amplifies the chilling effect of such lawsuits. It is not uncommon to target journalists and human rights defenders with multiple lawsuits at once in several different jurisdictions. Whatever the tactics, the aim of slaps is to harass, consume the resources and drain the morale of their targets. All this in order to restrict, prevent or punish them for speaking up to inform the public. It is a David and Goliath fight. Yet, in democracy, the role of journalists and those that keep power in check is tremendous. The package that we propose today, a directive and a recommendation to member states, will ensure that they can exercise this role. First, let me say a few words about the legally binding piece of our work, which is the directive, which offers safeguards against slaps. We designed them with the aim of nipping slaps in the bud and neutralizing their harmful effect on public participation and on the exercise of human rights and fundamental freedoms. The safeguards will work in three ways. One, they will enable courts to speedily dismiss claims which are manifestly unfounded. This is the cornerstone of the proposal and will make abusive litigation less attractive. Two, they will enable courts to swiftly identify elements indicating that a case is abusive and order a series of remedies to the benefit of the slap targets. And three, they will deter such practices by allowing courts to impose dissuasive penalties on an abusive claimant. The proposed directive also includes protection for EU journalists and rights defenders against slaps initiated against them in third countries. The directive applies to civil law proceedings with cross-border implications, as they are extremely complex to handle for the targets and prone to forum shopping. As I said before, we also accompany this directive with the recommendation to the member states, which is designed to complement the directive and to encourage member states to align their rules to cover also domestic cases. We also want to ensure that decisive action is taken by member states to address some of the root causes of slap, which are in their competence, not in ours at the EU level. Slaps are often brought on defamation grounds. This is why we ask Member States to make sure that their defamation laws are clear and prevent misuse or abuse. In some, but not all Member States, defamation is still a criminal offence that carries a prison sentence. Member States are therefore encouraged to abolish prison sentences for defamation cases. They should favour the use of administrative or civil law instead of criminal law for such cases. Other measures in the recommendation are meant to help build awareness and expertise among SLAPP targets, legal professionals and other groups. The recommendation also aims to ensure that those facing SLAPP can count on support. As I mentioned at the beginning, at the moment, it is still difficult to have a complete overview of all abusive cases. This is why we are asking Member States to collect certain data on SLAPPs and report to the Commission so that we can monitor the situation and fight this vile practice together. So this is not only the collection of data for the sake of monitoring, but for the sake of stronger cooperation with the Member States. Ladies and gentlemen, protecting democracy and rule of law can only be done when the watchdogs are allowed to do their work freely and when the public interest prevails over private considerations. I believe that the measures we are proposing today will go a long way towards that goal. They have to be seen in the bigger picture of the work we are doing to defend democracy, protect journalists and safeguard media freedom. The recommendation will become effective immediately, and I trust that the directive will be negotiated quickly and come into force soon. A few years ago, very few people had heard of SLAPP, let alone realised the extent to which powerful individuals were using it to silence journalists and rights defenders. Now we will make sure that this practice is in the spotlight and that within the EU it is stopped. Moreover, this is not the last thing we will do to protect the media and journalists. Later this year we will propose the Media Freedom Act. The aim is to have safeguards at the EU level to protect the independence of the media and media pluralism. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.